Actually, I've been listening to you talking to the brother. And I've heard you talking about chapter 3, verse 7, chapter 11, verse 1, and chapter 12, verse 111.
Mhm.
And you were talking about فصلت آياته المحكم والمتشابه. Am I correct? Okay. Before I answer you, if you don't mind me, I would like to ask you a very simple question. Do you know what is فصلت and what is محكم and what is متشابه? Please.
Off the top of my head, no. But
So
I can
how
go
can
to the tafsir
okay.
if you want.
No, another correction. It's not tasfir, it is tafsir. Tasfir means deportation. Tafsir means interpretation. So you keep saying tasfir. Tasfir, that's an Arabic word which means deportation. So it's not tasfir, it is tafsir. Okay?
Tafsir.
Tafsir, not tasfir. Tasfir, you heard it from those whom you are trying to learn Islam from them, who are not Muslims. They always say tasfir out of ignorance. And they don't know that the word tasfir means deportation. Tafsir means interpretation. So you should know what is the difference between tasfir and tafsir. So please, next time, if you want to learn Islam from the right sources as Muslims. Now you learn something, second thing, something new. You agree with me? Number 3, I asked you what is the difference between fussilat, muhkam, and mutashabih. You said you do not know. So how come you came to a conclusion that there is a contradiction between fussilat, muhkam, and mutashabih, and you do not know what does it mean? Can you answer me, please?
Because I read it earlier.
No, I asked you what is, what if you know the meaning of fussilat, muhkam, and mutashabih, you will come to a conclusion that there's a contradiction. I asked you a while ago, do you know what is fussilat, muhkam, and mutashabih? You answered me no. So how come you come to a conclusion to something that you do not know?
Can you quote me real quick? I said off the top of my head, I don't know. But if you were here earlier, you would have known that I read what the Mashabat and Maqamit ayats are. And I can also read it again. So just because I don't know something off the top of my head doesn't mean I didn't look into it and figure out what was going on. So if you would like, I would read it for you. Allah states that in the Quran, there are ayat.
Please. You don't need to read it for me because I know what is it. I studied.
I want to read it for the people who don't know. So Allah states that in the Quran there are.
Can you show the screen, please? Can you show the screen, please? So I will read with you if you don't mind, please. Will you be kind enough just to show it on the screen, please?
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So Allah states that in the Quran there are ayat that are entirely clear and plain, and these are the foundations of the book, which are plain for everyone. And there are ayat in the Quran that are not entirely clear for many, or so people. So those who refer to this to understand that will have acquired the correct guidance, and vice versa. This is what Allah said. So this verse right here, not entirely clear. This verse is. So this verse, to understand this verse, will be acquired in correct guidance. And this comes from the Nabir Kathir abridged. So they are the foundation of the book, meaning that they are the bias of the Quran and should be referred to for clarification when warranted. And others, not clearly, as they have several meanings, some that agree with that, and some that carry on other literal indications, although these meanings might not be desired. That explains abrogating rulings, then allowed prohibited laws, limits, obligations, and rulings that should be revealed and implemented. As of that, they include the abrogated ayat, parables, oaths, and what should be believed in but not implemented. Cool. So, continue on. I think we got a good understanding.
So you understood what you just read?
Yep.
You understood? Okay. So can you please tell me what is the contradiction?
Cool. So the issue is still the fact that 12:11:1 states that it's fully detailed and explained, and we can go look at it.
And I'm aware of it. You don't need to show it. I know. I memorize it. Okay.
Oh, well,
that's why I told you at the beginning. You're talking about 11:1, chapter 11, verse 1, and you're talking about chapter 12, verse 111, right?
Well, yeah, those are the two main ones. But
So here your issue is with فصلت, which means in details, and comes
what was
to
that? It means what?
What you said a while ago. It was explained or in details. That's فصلت. That's your issue. But if you come to 3.7, it says محكم ومتشابه. Now allow me to please teach you and school you from an Islamic sources, from not from those sources that I know where you copy from and I'm aware of. Now, when you read in chapter 3, verse 7, we have what we call muhkam and mutashabih. Muhkam in English means explicit verses or clear verses. Mutashabih means ambiguous verses. Now, if you read Ibn Kathir, which you quote a while ago, but you did not read it all, if you read Al-Sa'di, Al-Baghawi, Al-Zamakhshari, Al-Baydawi, and Al-Suyuti, and many other interpretations and tafsir of this verse, they said explicit verses are the verses with a clear meaning, and there is no ambiguity in them for anyone. Explicit verses do not carry more than one meaning, and their meaning is one, and there are no problem in interpretation of those verses. If you come to the ambiguous verses, they said whose meaning is not clear, and interpretation is different somehow due to their similarity to others, either in terms of wording or in terms of meaning. They have more than one meaning. So they have an interpretation. It doesn't say that they are not clear in interpretation. They have an interpretation, but they have more than one meaning. So these ambiguous verses always are returned to the explicit verses to know their meaning. But those who are firmly rooted in knowledge, the scholars, what did they say about the ambiguous verses? They said it is all from Allah and there is no contradiction in the words of Allah, because they were able to understand those ambiguous verses. Then after that, they said it is from Allah, no contradiction in it, because they understood it. If you read the interpretation, again, such as Sa'di, Ibn Kathir, Al-Baghawi, this is very important. This is a grammatically, this is what you do not know and they never taught you about. If you read interpretation of Al-Sa'di, Ibn Kathir, Al-Baghawi, Al-Qurtubi, Al-Tabari, and many others, they said the Arabic letter waw in English is an. If you read the word الراسخون بالعلم, in between them there is letter waw. We call this in Arabic grammars as conjunctive letter or conjunctions letter. وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله والراسخون. The word Allah والراسخون, in between them we have in Arabic language letter waw, and we call this grammatically, as I told you, conjunctive or conjunction letter. So because the waw or letter and in between the word ar-rasikhuna and Allah, so therefore the word ar-rasikhuna is attached to Allah. We call this grammatically conjunctive adverb to Allah. So the people of knowledge knew the meaning of the ambiguous verses and they believed in them after they understood their meaning. So when you say ambiguous, it doesn't mean that they do not know the meaning. It means that there is more than one meaning and they accepted all those meanings. So this is the meaning of ambiguous. So when Allah says in the other verse, فصلت, being details, those ambiguous as well, being details by scholar. So therefore they accepted and they said there is no contradictions in the word of Allah.
Can you repeat that last one more time?
Okay, I will. Which part?
when you were talking about the detailed verse.
Okay. When you come to the word detail, that's mean explained, right? You agree with me?
Yep.
It's explained. Now, when you come to the ambiguous scholars, as I showed you grammatically, means also explained, but in more than one meaning, because the verse might carry more than one meaning, or the Arabic words might carry more than one meaning, and the meaning depends upon the context. So scholars, the people of knowledge, were able to understand those ambiguous verses in different interpretation, and they accept all of them. Therefore, they accept them, and they said there is no contradiction in the Holy Quran, and it's all comes from Allah. So those ambiguous also explained, but in more than one way. It doesn't mean it doesn't say they are not explained. They are explained in details in more than one meaning. Did I remove your contradiction, which is at the back of your head only? It's only in your head, my friend.
Okay, so I have a couple questions, so maybe you can help clarify a little bit, because I heard what you said.
No, can I hear something, please, my friend?
Say what?
Can you please, with all due respect to you, can you please at least summarize to me what I just explained? So I want to make sure that you got my point. Can you repeat what I just said, please? Kindly, I appreciate that.
Cool. I'm going to summarize in a manner that hopefully you take. So basically, what you said was, and then I'm going to ask my question, that some verses are ambiguous, that the scholars know. That means that they're explained in many different ways, and some aren't. Pretty much?
No, I didn't some aren't. Did I say that? You see, miscopy. That's why, with all due respect to you, my friend, what I do usually when I speak with any person intellectually, I always write notes.
Time out.
Okay.
So then are all the verses ambiguous?
You were talking about the ambiguous.
Are all the verses ambiguous?
No.
No?
The verses
then
ambiguous and
only
clear.
some verses are ambiguous and others are not. So what are you saying no for?
No, I thought that you were saying that those ambiguous verses, some were able to be understood and some others not. So that's my communication. I misunderstood you. I do apologize. So I thought that you were talking only about the ambiguous verses. Now, the most important point for me,
if you were listening, I stated that when you were talking about the ambiguous verses, that there's explanations, many different explanations for that. And then I stated, and then there are verses that are not ambiguous.
Oh, yeah, okay. I agree with you. That's correct. So I misunderstood. Well, that's clear. Now, can you explain to me which is the most important?
Hold on. Did I summarize what you said?
No, you did not even start yet. You just start the first part. How about I want you to speak about the grammatically part, the grammar's part.
Time out. You asked me to summarize what you said. I summarized what you said. Now, I don't know if you know, but a summary means that breaking it down. So I just broke down what it is that you said. That doesn't mean that I have to then fully explain what you're saying. As long as I get the understanding and breakdown of the main part, which the main part was verses that are ambiguous. There's many different explanations that scholars understand. And then there's also the verses that aren't ambiguous. So now my question to you is, can you tell me so I can get a better understanding, what those verses are?
Those verses are what?
The ambiguous verses that the scholars know.
Any verses that has more than one meaning in the Holy Quran, we call those verses as an ambiguous. I'll give you an example. You're asking for an example. And I'll give you an example that is related to you as a Christian from the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah, please pay attention here, and please write notes if you don't mind me. Allah says in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Hijr, chapter 15, verse 9, indeed, it is we who send down the message. And Allah says also in chapter 36, Surah Yasin, verse 12, He who resurrects the dead. Allah spoke about himself here in plural. He said, we. Now, Christians like yourself followed the ambiguous verse and claimed the multiplicity of gods and said God is third of three in the Quran. God is a Trinity because he says we. So we refer to Trinity. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what Christians do to suit their needs. But the Christian forgot about, Allah says, return those ambiguous to the explicit verses. So Christian forgot to turn this ambiguous verse in their heads to the explicit verses to prove that Allah is one. But those who are firmly rooted in knowledge, scholars said, this plural majesty and glory of God, Allah, and they return such ambiguous verse matter to the explicit verse in chapter 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 163, which says, your God is only one God. Allah is only one God. There is no God but He. There is no other God worthy to be worshipped except Him. So here, I turn the ambiguous verse that you as a Christian claim it's a Trinity in the Holy Quran to the clear verses, which says Allah is one. So this is one of the examples that you are asking for.
Cool.
Are you
So
able to understand?
The one on the screen ambiguous or not?
Which one? I don't know. I don't see the screen.
1211 or 12111.
It says tafsir. It's explained everything. So what is it?
What's up?
So what's your point? You just go straight to the point.
Is this clear ambiguous?
Actually, this is the verse I just explained to you a while ago. You were not paying attention. I told you that you quote at the beginning, chapter 11, verse 1, and chapter 12, verse 111. I spoke about this verse at the beginning, but maybe you are not listening. Were you listening to me?
Well, you didn't. So when you broke down what's ambiguous, I'm asking you, is this ambiguous?
I'm asking you, did you listen to what I said a while ago about this verse?
Are you going to answer yes or no? Is this ambiguous or not?
No. With all due respect to you, my friend, because if you are listening to me, you know the answer. If you are listening
how
to
would
me,
I know the answer if you didn't break it down until after you already asked if these are the verses that you're talking about?
I did.
You broke down what's ambiguous and what was not after we talked about the mushab and the other word. So
what's
please,
that? About
is
what?
this
About
ambiguous or not?
Excuse me. What did you say? Again, one more time, please, because you were cutting off. Can you repeat yourself?
So when
please?
you first came up here, we had not got into the breakdown yet of what the two M words are when we was talking about 3:7. So when you came up and asked about these verses that you said that there's not a contradiction, then you stated that you know the difference between the two M words. So then we went to the tafsir, or I can't pronounce it right. Don't judge me for not being able to pronounce it right, but you know what I mean. So then we went there and we looked at what the difference was. And I read the ambiguous one and then the clear one. So now I'm asking you, is this a clear one or not? Is this ambiguous or not?
This is a clear one. Okay,
so if this is a clear one, tell me why, if this is clear and it states that the detailed explanations of all things and the guide to all mercies, how come this goes against 3:7?
You see, you are not listening to me. Can you show
it's
me
clear,
how?
Right?
No. Can you show me how?
One way, right?
Just a minute. Can you show me how does it go against 3:7, please?
Okay, so what does all things mean?
Everything.
Everything. Cool. So if that means that it's a confirmation of the previous revelation and detailed explanation of all things, a guide and mercy to the people of faith. So that means that when 3:7 states that the verses in this are only some things explained and some things are not, that's where the contradiction is.
Excuse me. It doesn't say some things are not. Where did you get this from? You see, that's why you are not listening to me. You are not. That's why I told you, please summarize what I said and please write notes so you will not misunderstood me. You see, with all due respect to you, my friend, at the back of your head, you made your own decision. That is a contradiction. And you don't want to change your opinion. I will repeat myself once again in regard of 3:7. Please write notes. please write notes, because if you listen to what I just said, you would never ask such question. I explained to you grammatically. That's why I said, what did you understand what I said about grammars? I told you in between the two words, Allah, والراسخون, we have letter wow. In English, and you call this as a conjunctive letter, conjunction letter. You see what I'm saying? And the word الراسخون is attached to the word Allah grammatically. We call this conjunctive adverb. The word الراسخون, conjunctive adverb attached to Allah, which means those people of knowledge knew the meaning of those ambiguous verses. It doesn't say it, they don't know it. The meaning of unclear, that means there is more than one interpretation, there is more than one tafsir, and they accept all of them. It doesn't say there is no tafsir. When Allah says fussilat ayatu, that means there is an interpretation for it. There is a tafsir for it. And those ambiguous verses also has tafsir for it, has an interpretation for it among the people of knowledge. The clear verse has only one meaning, which all scholars agree upon. The ambiguous has more than one meaning, which all scholars also agree upon. And their explanation, interpretation will never contradict one another. So therefore, the people of knowledge accept all those interpretations, and they said it is all from Allah. So it is being explained, but it's been explained in more than one way. Did I answer your question, my friend? Did I remove this contradiction, right?
Okay, so going back to that, again, I understand what you're saying, that they agree with multiple ambiguous verses and things of that nature, right? So, do they understand the full meaning?
Yes, they do. Therefore, you see, that's what I'm telling you. I'm not listening. After they understood the full meaning, they believe that it's all from Allah, and they believe that there is no contradiction in it. Otherwise, they won't believe it's all from Allah if they won't be able to understand the ambiguous. You get my point?
No, okay, cool. I get you. So this is another issue.
I know. Excuse me. I still have a few minutes with you because it's almost 3 a.m. here, and I need to, we're fasting. I need to go to prepare my food, and I need to pray. So finalize. I hope you understand. It's 3 a.m. in my place now. 2:45 a.m.
I just got one question for you, and then you're good. And I appreciate
you.
Sure. We obviously
sure.
So you stated that the scholars know the full meaning, but yet in the Quran it states that none know the full meaning. So is the Quran wrong here?
No, you see, this still the same thing. You misquoted. Quran doesn't know. It does not know the meaning. There is no word. Show where does it know that the Quran doesn't know the meaning?
I didn't say the Quran. I'm saying this guy says, but none grasp the full meaning except Allah. But you said that scholars know the full meaning.
That's why I explained to you grammatically. What does it mean grammatically? You are not listening to me, my friend. I told you the letter wow, conjunction letter. If you read the entire tafsir, and I gave you the sources, the tafsir for it. But with all due respect, you are not listening to me. I will tell you again what are those interpretation. You write it down, please, or go back to the video later on and look it up for yourself. Interpretations such as Al-Sa'di, even Ibn Kathir, the one you are reading, Al-Baghawi, Al-Qurtubi.
You're gonna have to spell these for me.
Okay, I write them down for you in a private chat. Is that okay?
Oh, easy work.
Okay, or I'll write it in the open chat box so everybody will look it up as well. Is that okay with you?
Go for it.
Yeah, that's it. It's here. You look it up. I hope. Does it appear? Is it there? Can you read it? Can you read it?
Al-Sadi, Ibn Kathir.
Okay, I'll post it for you in private chat as well. So you can see it also. It's easier for you. Okay, so you may go for yourself and look up for those things, for those interpretation. Read it for yourself. Then you will find what I told you is written there. So you, with all due respect to you, my friend, you sound like a respectful man, a man who is, you're so cool. So I hope next time, with all due respect to you, my friend, if you want to learn about Islam, come to us as Muslim. I'll be more than delighted to answer you, inshallah. Like me, when I want to learn Christianity, I will not go to a Jewish rabbi who deny Jesus Christ or reject Jesus Christ and ask him about Christ. I'll come to you. So next time, please come to us as Muslim and ask us. So tomorrow is our appointment, as we agreed a week ago, 10 a.m. your time, 11 a.m. p.m. my time. Our topic is Jesus God.
Yep.
Am I correct? So I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah, at 11 p.m. Thank you very much for being
Yes,
so
sir.
polite, for
Have a
having
good
your
one.
panel. God bless you all. Peace be with you, and good night to everybody.
God bless. All right. Well, thank you, Aladdin. That was enjoyable. I enjoyed that.